Giving Tuesday is all about celebrating generosity. And we're here to tell you that you have a chance to give back to a local nonprofit that means something to you. Boise State Public Radio is giving away $1,000 in on-air messaging to 2 randomly selected organizations that are nominated by you, our podcast listeners. Let's work together to uplift and give back to other nonprofits in Idaho by visiting us online at boisestatepublicradio.org to nominate your favorite nonprofit.
More Idaho Matters now from the studios of Boise State Public Radio News. I'm Gemma Gaudette. Here in Idaho, the number of people experiencing homelessness is growing, which means nonprofits are receiving more requests for help. However, in order to provide that help, nonprofits also need support. So that's why every year the Avenues for Hope Housing Challenge works to raise money for organizations that are providing crucial resources to the community. So joining us now to talk more about this effort are Brady Ellis, Vice President of Community Housing, and David Ambrose, author of the book, A Place Called Home. I want to welcome both of you to the program.
Thank you.
Thank you, Gemma. It's great to be with you.
So Brady, let me start with you. Can you tell us a little bit more about this campaign and how it got started?
Absolutely. I love talking about Avenues for Hope. It's my favorite time of the year just because of the work that we get to do with this campaign. So it's our annual fundraising campaign that is executed online for 100 plus nonprofits that are providing housing related services across the state of Idaho. So we pull together a lot of sponsors. We put together some prize and match money that these nonprofits are able to utilize as incentives to bring donations into their organization.
So Brady, I mean, this really is big support, right, for Idaho nonprofits. What kind of support does this actually provide?
Well, just in terms of the funds raised, in total, the life of the campaign has raised over $15.5 million. 3.4 of that was raised last year in our 2023 campaign. We have, like I said, about 100 nonprofits that are benefiting from participating, and their proceeds that come from our sponsors, come from their donors, translate into services, rental assistance, security deposits, support services, things of that nature that they're able to provide to a number of community members.
So David, you'll actually be speaking at the Challenge's kickoff luncheon. Tell us why this cause is so important to you.
Yeah, it is vital that we address this from our country. But personally, I was born into homelessness. I grew up in New York City, and my mom and siblings for 12 years lived on the streets of New York City. And amongst hundreds of other homeless families, we just wandered from place to place seeking safety, warmth, security, until I entered foster care. And for too many young people in this country and families experiencing economic or whatever issue, the only solution for them is not a solution, it's homelessness. And I truly believe personally and morally we're better than this. And it's organizations like this that do this work and support others in that work. That would mean my family would never have to have gone through what we went through to survive.
I mean, David, you actually wrote a memoir about your experience growing up homeless and all of those years in foster care that you just mentioned. Can you talk a little bit more about this experience? I mean, for folks who may not have read your book yet.
Yeah, I wrote A Place Called Home, my memoir, to share a story, the story of a woman who was suffering from mental health issues, but really about this ecosystem of poverty that trapped my family in a never-ending cycle of struggle and what it meant to survive on the streets of America today. And this story is too similar today as it was when I was a young person. We fought to live. We went from quiet corner where we could be left alone to shelters, to slum apartments, and then really struggled through the systems that are meant to lift people up and out of poverty. And there's just not enough support from the public for organizations like this one that could have helped my family. It was a brutal 12 years, but we survived. And with my siblings and I today are thriving. And I wanted to share my story because too often we step over the homeless people. In America today, over 50% of the homeless were at some point in their life in foster care. It is the largest correlation. And I wanted to share my story because the face of homelessness is not a face we see. We look past it. We're invisible. And at the same time, people want us to go away. So I wanted to be visible and to share my story so folks can see what it meant if we invest in young people and families, that they too can become contributing members of society. The sad and hopelessness does not have to be that way. There are real solutions to this. And the organizations supported by this event are doing that work. So I wanted to share my story and come there and share it in person so that we might lift up the opportunity to give back to this organization so our fellow citizens don't have to experience what I went through as a young person.
And David, you mentioned foster care and then that correlation, and you were placed in foster care. Talk to us kind of about that as well, because not all foster care is bad. I mean, I want to be clear on that. There are good foster families out there. However, we also know that there are many people like you who did not have that experience.
First, I just want to say I do not condemn or judge the system. We are the system. Everyone listening is the system, as you so rightly noted. It was the apathy of the public more than anything else that was the violence in my life. The imperfect foster homes that I had, the many placements were imperfect and at times very violent. But at the very least, they opened their doors to me. I want us to recruit more and better foster parents so that young people thrive. And it is not for us to say what the motivations are for current foster parents or judge people or be angry at social workers unless we as individuals have raised our hand to do something. I had an amazing foster mom and father, one out of the many, many that I had, neither of whom were foster parents. They raised their hands. They were working class people who did not have financial resources, who had their own kids, who were barely getting by. And they fought for 2 years to get me. If they can do it, anyone can. And I strongly encourage everyone to see what they can do. It may not be right for you to foster, but what is the right answer then for you to give back? Show up at a meeting, learn more, do something. I went through many placements and I came out of that the person that I am today. And I love my life. I love where I'm at. I'm a father. I'm a foster father. I'm a member of my community. I wouldn't change a thing. But I do want kids coming through the system today to have a better experience than I had. The violence and apathy of the public are unacceptable. And I want us to share in the joy and potential of these young kids that exist today. They're our neighbors. They are our kids, and they deserve better than our apathy.
Brady, I only have about a minute left. So remind us of the official kickoff date of this campaign and how people can support this cause.
We have our kickoff on, first of all, the luncheon will happen December 9th, which is our first day of the campaign. That'll be at the Boise Center in Boise. Donations will start rolling in at 8 a.m. December 9th, and we accept donations through midnight on December 31st. And our campaign page is avenuesforhope.org. So we would love for anybody listening, reading the recap, to go to avenuesforhope.org, select a organization in their area that they support that is doing great work, that can help their community, and make a donation there.
I want to thank you both so much for taking time to speak with us. David, thank you for sharing your story with us. We've been speaking with Brady Ellis, Vice President of Community Housing, along with David Ambrose. He's the author of the book, A Place Called Home. We've been discussing the 14th annual Avenues for Hope Housing Challenge, which begins December 9th.